Hi and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann and today we're combining Dylusions and embossing paste. The reason I like to combine embossing paste and Dylusions is because you get such a fantastic rich contrast of color. You can see on the front of my card I've got two tones of this pink, and this is the Dylusions, it's a color spray. And then I have this lovely contrasting leaf, and this has been done with the black embossing paste. Super easy technique to do, so let me show you what I've done to get started here. First of all, I'm working with a piece of white matte cardstock, the standard weight, and I'm going to go ahead and apply my Dylusions directly onto the paper. Now, if you've worked with Dylusions color spray before, you know that the color is bright, it's rich, it's really vivid. So the color that you see out here on the label is actually the color that you're getting. And this is the Funky Fuchsia. So it is funky and it is very fuchsia. It's a bright, rich color. And we're going to use two different tones of it, a diluted and an undiluted shade of this. So I'm going to have my Dylusions on hand. Now normally what you would do with this, you can see it's a spray, and you would simply, push down the nozzle and spray your color directly on here. That's one way to use this, but you can also simply unscrew the top and use it straight from the bottle like this. Now I'm going to get a little bit of this color out here onto my craft sheet. I want to get two puddles, one here and one about there. Now you could either, sort of tip it out and shake it out. I'm going to use what's called a pipette. It looks like this. And I picked this up at my local Ben Franklin store. So I'm going to do a puddle here and then another puddle here. It's a nice way of being able to get the color out without drizzling it all over the place. And then you can just rinse that out and save it for later. So I want one diluted and I want one undiluted. So I'm going to go ahead and add some water next to this puddle over here. I'm not spraying directly into the puddle because it can kind of cause it to kick back a little bit. And then I'm going to take a brayer. I've got a little mini brayer here. Roll it through the water and then pick up some of that color. So here's my diluted Dylusions. And then I'm just going to go right across. I just want to get a bit of color going across here like this. I'll set my brayer aside, and then I'm going to take this piece and just run it through the Dylusions, the undiluted Dylusions, and like so, and like so. And if I place that down, I think you can see, I've got a rather messy application on here, but I think you can get the gist of it. So now with my undiluted Dylusions, I want to add a little bit of a spattered effect on here. You can see on my original card how that's going across like this. Now what you could do, of course, is simply spray the Dylusions on there. That's going to give you a really overall coverage, and I wanted something that just kind of went diagonally across here. So I've got my stipple brush, and this is one that I have from Faber-Castell. This works really well. And I'm just going to dip this into the undiluted Dylusions and then spatter it on here. So I'm able to get a really fine mist of color, and I have a little bit more focus than if I was simply spraying right from the bottle. So this is how I'm going to apply my Dylusions. Super easy to do. And then I just set this piece aside to dry. And I'm going to come in here and kind of clean up my Dylusions. It's very easy to clean up, like so, right off my craft sheet. Set this aside to dry, and I do have a piece that is already dry, so I'll bring this in and show you. So I've got my spattering on here, I've got my brayered color across the front. Now I can go ahead and add my washi tape and then do my stenciling. So I added just a piece of this fun blue washi tape, and I liked it because I thought it added another pop of contrasting color. So I'm going to put this down here, and it also helps to kind of tack this down onto my craft sheet. When I get done with my stenciling, I can just cut this off or even just fold it around the sides. Now the stencils that I'm working with are Dina Wakely, and this is a mask and a stencil set. So you can see these are the masks, and I kind of taped them onto the package so you could see them. They weren't floating around in here. This is the Organic Shapes one, so some really fun shapes. So you get the masks, and you also get the stencil part, which is this. So you get the positive and the negative of those shapes, or the innies and the outies, if you will. And I'm going to use the stencil rather than the mask of this really pretty leaf. So I'm just going to pop that down here. again, working on my craft sheet and just kind of keeping it all tacked down as much as possible, I'm going to go ahead and secure the whole thing down with some masking tape because I really don't want it sliding around. So, and I also need to mask off some of these other areas here so that I don't get embossing paste where I don't want it to go. Okay, so I've got that tacked down, and then I can go ahead and do my embossing. And I'm using the Wendy Vecchi embossing paste. This is the color black, and this is the most beautiful black I think I've ever seen. It's rich, it's dense, it's super opaque, it's fantastic, and it gives such a lovely contrast. So I'm just going to open this up, and you can see on the inside it's just deep and dark and beautiful. Now, normally what you would do is use a palette knife to apply this onto your stencil and then get it through the stencil shapes. I use the palette knife quite a lot, but I also, for intricate shapes like this, like to use my finger. So it does get a bit messy, but it's also a really great way to get a little bit more control. So I'm going to hold down this stencil as I'm gently applying the embossing paste. This just really, I find, gives me a little bit more control when I'm adding the embossing paste and get it a little bit closer to me. And then simply applying it right through the stencil, holding down some areas of the stencil because you don't want to lift it up and accidentally get some of that embossing paste underneath the stencil shape. Although if you do, I have a little bit of a trick that I can share with you because it's happened to me before too. So you just want to carefully get this into all of those intricate areas. You can see how beautifully rich and dark this embossing paste is. Taking care not to get it into some of the other shapes there. And I think I've got it on there completely. I'm going to go ahead and close up the lid, make sure that that's secure. Clean off my finger somewhat. And then what I'm going to do is quickly lift this off. Now when I remove the stencil, I really want to make sure that I'm going to lift it straight off rather than, you know, sliding it off. So get this all untaped. And then lift off the stencil, and I have my leaf design on here. Now I noticed I was working pretty quickly and I did end up with some little patchy bits on there, but that's okay. I'm going to take a toothpick and just kind of reshuffle some of that. I can also add a bit more of the embossing paste from the jar straight on there, or even from another area on here, and just kind of fill in some of those areas in case I didn't get it perfect. And then what you do is just go ahead and let this dry. Again, you can sort of fold these under, or you can simply cut them off. Let this dry and you are set to go. So let me show you the original card here again, and you can see I've got my stenciled piece on here. I've also added a little bit of green ribbon just as another pop of color, and then I have this happy birthday here. Now the happy birthday is a sticker set. This is from Elizabeth Craft Designs. These are just peel off stickers, and it's a really nice size and a nice script as well, nice font. So that just added on there perfectly and really helped with coordinating with the black of that embossing paste. I think makes a really very high contrast and vivid effect. So this is how you can combine embossing paste and Dylusions. I hope you enjoyed today's show. For more ideas and inspiration, please stop by my website at saranaumann.com. If you enjoyed today's video, I invite you to subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube, and I will keep you updated with a new video every Wednesday. Thank you for joining me on Studio SN, and I will see you again next time.